Okay, welcome to another Will Santana Films review. As you see, I got the beautiful, lovely Deborah Santana here with me.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite movie studios, Walt Disney. But today we're going to do something a little different with it. We're not just going to talk about Disney as everybody knows as them being family oriented and for the children and just how high powered they are. I'm a huge Disney fan. And I brought Deborah along purposely because her knowledge of Disney is not as high. She's not a big fan of Disney, like I am. So I felt like we kind of got North and South, East and West here, Bloods and Crips, Rats and Roaches. You know what I'm saying? So we won't parallel on this at all. Today we're going to talk about the 5 most controversial movies from Disney. This is my top 5. Number 5, Deborah, bring us in. What's number 5 on our countdown?
Okay, first we're going to talk about Aladdin. Now, if you guys have seen the first Aladdin before the New Day Aladdin, you guys may have remembered that they had a song, which they still have in the new Aladdin, but they had a song back then, which was now edited. And in the beginning of that song, the name of the song, first off, was called Arabian Nights.
Arabian Nights.
And the lyrics to Arabian Night in the original one, before it was edited, the lyrics said, where they cut off your ears if they don't like your face. Now, this brought lots of controversy to the Middle East because the Middle East were kind of feeling like they were being portrayed as barbarians, meaning that they were very violent and rude, and that didn't set well with them. I'm like, hey, like, what's going on?
Well, the song has been altered. It's been changed. The original song was released on the soundtrack, but that version was when the soundtrack was re-released. The new version is on there. You can no longer purchase that. It no longer even comes with the movie. So you're gonna have to find that original version on the internet, probably somewhere. I do see it somewhat offensive, I'm not gonna lie, because it is very stereotypical. It kind of fits the movie on that scene and everything, because, you know, Aladdin comes from the poor and everything. He's struggling to get money and food and everything. It kind of fits it, you know. The song came from a merchant. Remember, guys, I'm speaking from a Disney fan. I want the movie in its original piece. So, but I do understand the controversy about it. I understand why they altered it, but I personally would like the original version as the way the movie was originally released. What do you think about it?
Well, I would say back then, I can definitely see why people would be offended by it. But I would say even now, in present day, with all the things that have happened in the Middle East, I could see the people from the Middle East really becoming offended by it, especially what has gone on now within just a few years. So I would definitely say that that is something that definitely needs to be hidden in the past and not something that needs to be shown now. Because I think even with today's events, there's been a lot of things that have been taken out that have been considered disturbance to people now, especially with the things that have taken place with the Middle East and the U.S.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, the movie was released in 1992, so it's before 9/11 and everything. And you know, Al Qaeda existed back then, of course, but it wasn't as mainstream as known here now in present day.
Right.
So I don't know, it's up to you guys. What do you guys think? Leave comments on this. This is some good stuff we're here talking about, you know what I'm saying? And people may even throw in some new facts that we don't even know about what's going on. But that's what we want to talk about with Aladdin. Let's move on to number 4. Okay, now on to number 4. Dumbo! You know, Dumbo's a classic, the flying ear elephant. He's actually my daughter's favorite ride at Walt Disney World in Magic Kingdom.
Right.
So it's kind of weird talking about this one, but she won't understand this right now. She's only 4. But back when Dumbo was released in 1941, as you know, there's a group of crows. There's a group of crows, and the lead crow name is Jim Crow. What a coincidence.
Right.
And Jim Crow was voiced by a white actor, and the rest of the crows were voiced by black actors. Would you like to explain to people who don't know what Jim Crow laws were? You know, because this is a bit touchy.
Well, Jim Crow back then was more about segregation between blacks and whites. Basically, what they were trying to say was that blacks and white were equal,
but
different. So, for an example, they would say, well, you guys can ride the bus like us, but you guys have to sit in the back of the bus. And you guys can use the bathroom, public restrooms, but you must use your own restroom for blacks only,
whites
and things
only.
like that. So it was basically just laws that were meaning they wanted to seem like it was fair, but it really wasn't fair. There was like, you know, there's a law here, but then you got to walk on the eggshells, you know. So that's basically what the Jim Crow laws were back then.
Yeah, so, you know, with the character being named Jim Crow, crows are black birds.
Right.
So I can kind of see the metaphor. Not even kind of. Let's be honest. I see the damn metaphor. I see it. I get it. It's an issue. But remember, the movie was released in 1941.
Mm-hmm.
World War II was going on also. So a lot. We'll get more into the time and place on it and everything.
Yeah, that's a talk for another day.
Okay, so let's move on to number 3. Number 3, Peter Pan. A lot of people don't even know who Peter Pan is, like the kids these days. They're more stuck into one character. I don't know if you guys can see her on the cover. I'm pointing at her right there, my finger's on her. Tinkerbell. Okay, that's where Tinkerbell originally came from, the Peter Pan movies. But Peter Pan had an issue with the Indians in the movie. That scene still exists. It's still there. Has not been altered. There's a line in the movie where one of the Lost Boys says, what makes the red man red? We know who he's talking about. The Native Indians. Okay, and Captain Hook also refers to them as the Redskins. As you football people know, there's a big old controversy right now in the NFL about the Washington Redskins. I do find it somewhat offensive. How about you, Deborah?
I do find it offensive. Now the Redskins, let me kind of reach in and see what I know. Now this is when they were talking about, I think, remember on, was it Bill Bond? Was that show you watched? Bill Bond and
PTI.
PTI. Now is this where they were talking about wanting to change that name?
One of them felt they should change the name. The other one felt they shouldn't have. She's talking about the Washington Redskins, the football team.
Yeah.
And the movie also referenced them as being savages, violent, they're wild and everything.
Right.
So it's offensive.
And I do think it's offensive, especially with people of color and people who have who are really big on history, who have done their history and actually believe that Native Americans owned the land first and felt that they were barbaric, and by Caucasians coming in and taking the land. And so I could see if I was Native American being portrayed as violent and
being referred to as a
savage when I've been on this land honestly and felt like they took the land from me. So I can definitely see where they come from as far as feeling like they're being portrayed as something that they're not.
Now, even though Peter Pan takes place in Neverland, it's still there. We know what they're referring to. You know what I'm saying? So I've always seen the movie as is. The movie hasn't been changed. It hasn't been altered. I'm okay with it. It's offensive to me, but I'm okay with it because it's how I've always seen it as a kid. Do you think it should be removed or it should be altered or anything?
I think it should be removed because it is a racial gesture or racial. I mean, the meaning behind it is offensive to that culture. And anytime something is offensive, it doesn't matter if it's offensive to my culture or your culture. If it's offensive to someone's culture and they're from that culture, it needs to be removed. Because maybe it's not as offensive to my culture because maybe I'm not thinking of it that deep because I'm not Native American. But if I was Native American and I felt that was offensive, then I would want it taken down.
Okay.
So wrong is wrong.
So for you going into it new, you will want it removed.
I would want
But you can understand with like somebody like me who's seen it since he was like 5 years old. Now remember, this movie came out in 1953. why they would not want it altered.
I guess so.
You could kind of see that. Okay. No, okay. But this is good though, you know.
It just needs to be removed, period, because it's something that's it's racial.
Okay.
And wrong is wrong, and that's it. It's wrong.
Okay, enough about Peter Pan. Let's move on to number 2 because this is only number 3 and this is going to get deep. You see, guys, we're getting deep. Let's move on to number 2. Okay, now we're on to number 2. Guys, we're getting deeper and deeper on this. Here we go. Number 2. I bet you a lot of you have never heard of this movie. It's called Song of the South, 1946 release. Why have you probably never heard of this? Because it's never been released in the United States on home video. It's never been released on DVD, VHS, Betamax, Blu-ray, anything. HD DVD, Laserdisc, never happened.
And they definitely kept this one in the boat.
Oh yeah, this one's not coming out. It's never gonna come out, I can tell you that.
No matter how many Disney points you got, it's not coming out.
Hey, it's been released outside of the US. There's a bootleg copy of it released, and you can find it on Amazon China. It has like a blue logo that pops up every 4 minutes and 45 seconds in the movie, and it stays up for about 15 seconds. You can find it. It's hard. It's hard. It's like the holy grail of the Disney movies. And we're talking about Song of the South. I got one. Ah! That's how hardcore Disney I am. Now this movie, you see things from the movie. You may hear songs like We Went to Disney World, baby. You didn't catch it, but the song is playing in the background in Disney Hollywood Studios. You can hear it as you're walking around where the Fantasia Mickey Mouse Sorcerer's Apprentice hat is. Zippity doo dah, zippity day. That song is playing, and it comes from the movie Song of the South. Now, Song of the South is controversial because of Uncle Remus. He's an old black slave, and he's telling stories about to a bunch of kids of a Brer Rabbit. So the movie is half human, live action, half animated. But the Uncle Remus is telling the story to a bunch of kids. They're all slaves, and the movie is portrayed as the slaves are just so happy to be slaves. They love their masters and everything, and so forth, so forth. And Uncle Remus is just like Uncle Tom, sort of. That's a good metaphor, actually. He's just the happiest man in the world to be a slave. And the thing is, the book was actually after the Civil War, so it's still a lot of controversy. Do you see any issues with this movie and why it's probably never been released and never will be released in the United States?
Well, obviously we know why it's not going to be released, but I have not had a chance to see that movie. Although I have had access to it, it's definitely not something that I would want to see. But I definitely would be offended by it because we all know there was nothing happy about being a slave. So whoever wrote the script to that one, you're just thinking like, it sure wasn't us. So I definitely would see a problem with that one.
Okay, now Song of the South actually did very well at the box office in the movie theater when it was released in the United States.
Now, is this the movie where I have never seen it, but I've read a lot because I do read a lot. But now, is this the one that Disney denies?
No, this ain't it.
Okay.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. We said we're not done with the countdown.
Yeah, but of course, no, we wouldn't be happy with that one coming out because we weren't happy picking cottons and everything else. So of course not. So definitely, no, absolutely not.
If you want to learn more about Song of the South, get on the internet, Google it. You can YouTube, I'm pretty sure, some of the footage of it. Torrent people, you guys are probably going to download it now, but it's out there. Disney, they don't want this thing leaking out of there, but it's out there. They don't want it leaking. So check it out. Check it out. Let's move on to number 1 now.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Deborah. We're now down to number 1.
Number 1.
Okay. Number 1. Fantasia. Everybody's probably like, what? No way. Fantasia's controversial. No way. Mickey Sorcerer's Apprentice is in it. It's one of the most famous things. Disney Hollywood Studios is based on Mickey Sorcerer's Apprentice. My daughter got pictures with Mickey dressed up as the Sorcerer's Apprentice. No way Fantasia is controversial. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. In 1940, when Fantasia was originally released in the Pastoral Symphony, you guys know the Pastoral Symphony, you know, with the centaurs and the Cupid person in there and everything. But if you watch the movie and pay attention closely, you will notice the frame is cropped. And the reason why the frame is cropped is because there was a black centaur named Sunflower. And Sunflower had pigtails. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the photo up on this while I'm talking right now of Sunflower. Sunflower had like little pigtails, big lips, and she was like cleaning the hooves of the white centaurs. She's only in the movie a total like 13 seconds. But that's 13 seconds. You guys that are cheating out there know these 3 words. It's a very catchy phrase. Please tell them what it is.
What is it? You said the 3 words?
3 words. It's the same word.
Wait a minute. Let me think.
It's the same word. Oh.
Let me see.
This is what Disney.
Cheating. Only a couple of seconds. And if you get caught,
what do
let
men
me
do?
guess. Deny.
Disney
That's
denied.
what Disney did.
They denied that scene even existed.
They pulled a guy code on us.
Yeah,
and then
they
Walt
did.
Disney was Guy. They pulled a guy code on us.
It's there. Pull it up on the internet. Just type in the name Sunflower, Fantasia. You're gonna be shocked. Now this is what kills me about Disney. That original version of the movie was out for 20 plus years. Until the night 1963. They finally decided to pull it. But if you ask a Disney rep, it's all over the internet. They deny. They said there's no such thing as Sunflower. Go on YouTube, go to Google. I don't care where you go, pull out your smartphone. She's there.
And then they've even trained their employees to deny it. So if you go to Disney World and you try and ask someone, they'll act like they're dumb. They'll be like, what? We don't know what you're talking about. We've never had a release of that. We've never had that happen. So yeah, they are not trying to be out there with it at all. They're trying to definitely hide this one behind.
Okay, I understand Sunflower, very racial stereotype in the movie. But as a Disney fan, as a Disney collector, I want the movie as it was originally released. I do. I really do. I feel they should do like an unrated and a rated release of it. Or 2 separate releases. You know, like when you watch the movie like Road Trip, Euro Trip, you can go in the menu and you can select the unrated version or the rated version. I feel like they should do something like that for the die-hard fans.
I do think they should release it only because it's part of Disney's history. But as far as me being a person who wants to watch it and enjoy it, no. Of course I don't want to watch it and enjoy it, but I would definitely want to see it and know what the history was and how it came about.
Now remember, this movie was released in 1940. The United States was segregated. Jim Crow laws were still in effect. That's how the times were during that. You know, when the release of this movie. You know, I'm not condoning it. Not condoning it whatsoever. But I'm a Disney fan. And as a Disney fan, I want it as it was originally released. Just like the movie The Program, for example. The kids were laying in the street. I saw that in movie theaters. The kids were laying in the street just like they did in the movie, and real kids actually died. They got ran over by cars. But the fact that I saw the movie like that, and now I see it, that scene don't exist, and I know exactly where that scene goes, it bothers me. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that I even know that Sunflower was there, it bothered me when I see the movie and I can see the scenes where she's shining the hubs of the other centaurs, and I can see it just so zoomed in on the white ones, and like, I know she's right there cleaning their hubs at that moment, you know? It just really bothers me. So that's my opinion from a Disney fan. She's against it. You know, but
I mean,
you're kind of against it. You're kind of cool.
For me, it's like, okay, you want to see these films, and you're happy with some of them being what they were then, present day. You're happy with watching them just like that, as if they had never recreated them. Alright, is that what you're saying? Like, are you saying that had you had an option between the two of them, you would still prefer?
I would still prefer the original version. Now, would I let my kids watch the original version? No, that's a different story. Now, maybe when they got older and I was giving them a history lesson, or they became Disney fans, if they were hardcore Disney fans like me, I would allow them to, of course, with your approval.
Okay. Okay, so what you're saying is, if Disney said, okay, well, we have this release, and they showed you some of the racism in it, you would tell them that, if they told you that, well, we'll remake this movie, would you tell them, no, don't remake it, it's fine like this? You would not want them to remake it? You'd rather them stay with the old version?
I would want both versions. Okay. Like I said, the unrated and the rated, or censored, uncensored, you know?
Okay. But see, the problem that I have is that, see, I'm not as big of a Disney fan as Will. And I just didn't have that type of childhood. So I never, it's not that I'm hating on Disney or anything, but I just didn't have that type of childhood. So I didn't watch a lot of Disney movies growing up. A lot of movies that I've seen now is only because of Will. But my problem is looking back into the history of Disney, to me it seems like Disney has a history of putting racial things in their movies. And to me, that's a little offensive. It seems like going all the way back, there's so many movies where they try to hide and remake of racism. Now, I do understand that some of these movies were made back at that time where racism was going on. But, you know, to me, it's like, okay, well, that kind of explains why it took, what, 70 years before they came around with a black princess?
70 years, you know? Since Snow White.
So to me, it's like, well, no wonder why, because it was not looked at like that. I guess back then they had not came across, and they weren't even thinking to have a black princess, because the princesses that they did have were your traditional women who were cleaning and cooking and things like that. And they were not thinking, in my opinion, I'm assuming they were not thinking of black women as those type of people. And that's why Disney took so long to make a black princess.
I can see that, you know. I'm not going to disagree or anything. But those are our top 5. Now, I know Disney has had other controversial things as far as racism, like the Siamese twins and Chip and Dale and everything. But I wanted to stick with the movies, and I wanted to stick with, like, more things in the vault, you know what I'm saying, that people don't know about, that I wanted to bring out. But as a Disney fan, I personally would like to have these movies in their original release. I understand the controversy to it. I agree with the controversy to it and everything. I just want these movies as they were originally. It's like the holy grail. Something I gotta have my hands on that's hard to get. Disney has had other controversies, like the Little Mermaid stuff. We're not going to get into that right now. That'll be for another thing.
Remember that one.
You know, there's the Lion King issue.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, there was an issue in Lion King. So there's other things involving Disney and everything, but we'll bring back to it. You know, you see, this was a very sensitive subject and everything. So if you guys want to leave comments and everything, please do. You know what I'm saying? She was speaking on the behalf of someone who doesn't know too much of Disney. I was speaking on behalf as a Disney fan. So that was the whole point of this, you know. Make sure y'all subscribe to Deborah's page at youtube.com/Deborah Dukes. The TV shows reviews are coming very, very soon. She's even got all kind of ideas as far as the girl talk thing. She's going to also be on another show with Miss Trina Robinson and everything. So stay tuned. She has a lot going on, you know. But y'all stay tuned. Make sure y'all subscribe to my page as well, youtube.com/Will Santana Films. Until the next time, we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Will Santana.
Hey, thanks for being here, Miss Deborah Santana. And y'all check her out, man.